All right, so this Ask HershNoeie I almost forgot about. I even saved it and emailed myself, but I'm going through my emails and I almost forgot about it. But it says, and this was a while ago. When was this? May 8th. Ugh. That's why it's important to join the Discord, which is down in the description box below, because then I can, it's there versus emails. I have to go through and find them. But anyway, thanks so much for this great video. I'm not sure which video they're referring to, but it has to do with New Mexico. I hope you're very happy in Rio Rancho, which besides Los Lunas and Silver City is one of my New York list if I can't build or buy my retirement dream house north of Long Island, where I'm from. I hope you won't mind too much replying to these questions. Some may seem, excuse me, a bit odd, but I'd surely expect better answers from an informed transplant rather than from a real estate agent. So here we go. Assuming I couldn't find the one-story, 2,500 square foot house I want, small kitchen, very large living room, one bath, large master bedroom, partially finished basement, 12-foot vaulted or sloping ceilings in most rooms, minimal number and or size of windows in Rio Rancho. How expensive is a 1.5 acre of land or somewhere else in Sandoval County, about 20 miles of Albuquerque, and building costs, much less than, say, in Indiana or Kentucky? And as I really live for my stuff, how likely would the building code prohibit my choice of putting an electrified fence around my property to keep out snakes, scorpions, and burglars? And speaking of electrification, how easy could my land be connected to the municipal power grid? But no way would I rely on the municipal water supply. So what are my chances of obtaining steady and plentiful water for a single person household by drilling for it? Okay, and it goes on. My budget for the land, hiring a contractor and independently building supervisor to ensure the construction proceeds as much punch list is $400,000. What are my chances for total satisfaction? Is there at least one hospital in Sandoval County and an accredited compounding pharmacy? I know there are in Albuquerque where I can get mugged or my car stolen. That's likely to be at least 25 miles away. Please feel free to ask any questions or share my other opinions or advice. I need to get any relocation move I make in 2024 right the first time, so I can use all the info I can get. Stay well, and I hope you love Rio Rancho. Okay, first, I don't live in Rio Rancho anymore. I did live there for a few years. We bought a house there in Rio Rancho, and it was right behind the Walmart there. So that is where we had a house, had a pool and everything. It was really, really cool. So people who are from Rio Rancho understand where Cabazon is and all of that. I think it was off of Northern Avenue. I can't remember now. It's been so long since I've lived there. So I don't live in Rio Rancho any longer, but I can answer your questions. Do they have a hospital? Yes, they do. There was a big hospital where actually Zara was born, our middle child. So our New Mexico baby is Zara. And I forget, it's Presbyterian. A brand new hospital that was built. By the time she came along, that hospital was it's Rust. It's called Rust. So Presbyterian Rust Medical Center. That building was brand new, maybe a year or two old by the time we came along. Had a big old huge. Noelle had a big old huge room to herself, all modern, spiffy. The easiest birth that Noelle had was Zara, which is our second child, our middle child. So yes, they do have a hospital in Rio Rancho. Let's see what else they have. Let's make sure. Rust, Clear Sky, Rehab, Levelist West. So they have Levelist West Hospital. So yes, there's a few. To answer your question about if there's a hospital, there are. Pharmacy, yeah. I mean, there's going to be pharmacies there. I don't know what level they are or any of that type of stuff. Like that, I don't know. But yes, there's pharmacies there. Rio Rancho, to give you a little bit of an understanding, Rio Rancho is a pretty decent sized city. It's not like a little tiny sprout of a town, right? When I was there, I always referred to them as the Twin Cities almost, because Rio Rancho is a decent sized city. I think it's at least 100,000 people. Let me check. Pretty sprawled out city. It's the largest city and economic hub of Sandoval County, part of the expansive Albuquerque metropolitan area. Only a small portion of the city enters into Bernalillo County, which is where Albuquerque is at, right? Albuquerque's in Bernalillo County. And so population in 2019 was at 99,000, so 100,000 people. So that gives you an idea. It's a decent sized city without any sort of problem there. Now, as far as an electrified fence, I don't know. That I don't know. You would have to contact Sandoval County to kind of get that, because again, Rio Rancho's a city. Probably you can't do it in the city because most cities aren't going to allow an electric fence. But once you start to move further and further and further out, because it gets, I mean, even there where the downtown is in Rio Rancho, which is really not, I mean, it's just a couple of buildings and that little arena and that's it. Even there where it's just dirt everywhere, literally. I mean, it's just desert. You probably still couldn't even have an electric fence. But once you go far out, you probably could, which is still Rio Rancho. You probably could. There are areas of Rio Rancho that's just dirt roads, many of them. You can fly over and you can see all these grids, and they're all dirt roads. So some of these places you might be able to get away with that. But again, in the city proper, probably not. And even in those areas where I talk about it's dirt roads, you still probably wouldn't be able to. These are planned developments where you have a developer, big time developers that build out there. So probably not. With that said, the part of Rio Rancho that I was in, there was no fear of scorpions or snakes because of where we were. It was just too built up, too busy for that to be the case. I'd never seen a scorpion, except for when I went to the zoo. I went to the zoo and there was a guy that had a big old huge one on his lap, and Noelle didn't even notice it because she noticed the little bitty one that was in a little cup. And he said that this little scorpion contains much more venom, like 4 or 5 times more than this big one. He said, so the big one you may be afraid of because, oh, it's big, but the little one is the one that will kill you. And I was like, dang. So that's the only time I've seen one. I never saw one there. I did see a Child of the Earth. So Google that. I did see that. I did see some other things that looked like a scorpion. They had like a little front and they had like a little spindly, it looked like a hair for a tail. And you see those throughout the house. Sometimes you'll see them, but they're harmless. And then I did see a pile of roaches, which are outside. You go outside, there's a big pile of big old roaches. I did see that. And the centipedes, you'll see, or millipedes, one of the two. You'll see those. They're flat, they're long, they're everywhere. You'll see that. Very interesting wildlife there. I have to say, it's pretty darn cool. But you'll see that stuff. But I never, and that I saw in the house, like outside or even in the house. Child of the Earth, I didn't see outside. I saw, did I ever even see one? I don't know if I did. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So you want to see if you can find a house that is a 1-story, 2,500 square feet home, a small kitchen, very large living room, one that. Here's what I would suggest. I mentioned a neighborhood called Cabazon. Okay. Cabazon's on the same street that Walmart is. Hold on, let me see. Okay. Not Cabazon the city or the peak, because then people get confused. Cabazon, New Mexico. It's a development there, okay? Called Cabazon. Cabezon. It's right there close to where that hospital, Rust Presbyterian Rest Medical Center is right there. Unser Boulevard. That's what I was thinking. So Unser Boulevard runs right through there, and we would take that all the time. So yeah, you can find what you're looking for. I'm looking at it right now. Now, unlike here where you can't find all these types of houses that are for sale and just sitting here hanging out, here you won't find any, but there's quite a few homes that are actually for sale. They look very, 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 very nice. Here's a one bedroom, or not a one bedroom, a 1-story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,100 square feet, 2,141 square feet. It's $370,000, and it's in Cabazon. All of these that I'm looking at are in Cabazon. It's kind of the place, and it was when I was there in Rio Rancho. It looks nice. Now this house here in Tacoma, if you put this right here in Tacoma, you're looking at least 600,000, probably. Yeah, if you put it in Tacoma, you're looking at 600,000. No problem. I mean, easy. Yeah, it's got 2-car garage. It looks nice. Stucco. That's the other thing that was so cool. I thought the whole Adobe and stucco stuff was just Bugs Bunny, but it's true. It was the coolest thing, man. Like when I was there, it's like, this is so cool. Every house you would look at, it's like the little Adobe looking thing and the post sticking out from it. I'm like, what? We thought that was just fake. We didn't think that was actually real, and it is. In Cabazon, you still get the stucco outside of the structure. You don't have a lot of the Adobe looking structures. They look more like modern style homes, but you can still see the very New Mexico-esque. New Mexico is a culture all on its own. So it is a very unique culture. They have their own type of food. They have their own style of everything. So it's different. It's really different. New Mexican style food. It's a culture all on its own. But yeah, looking at the homes here, most of these are pending. The ones up to the top are available. There's one that's a 2-story, 2,191 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath for $350. Man, I do miss the home prices there. So home prices in New Mexico are much more expensive than what they will be in Indiana or Kentucky. Generally. Now, don't get me wrong. Bowling Green, Kentucky has homes, and I showed Noelle homes that are $1 million, $1.3 million, $1.4 million. Bowling Green, Kentucky, and they're big, sprawling, huge things. But they do have those. Don't get me wrong. But generally, once you go out west, the cost of everything is more. Cost of gas is more. The cost of food is more. The cost of buying a house is more. It just costs more money. I don't know why. It just is. So once you pass the Mississippi, say bye-bye to savings because you're going to spend more. It's just true. So when you're talking about building, because I think you said you wanted to possibly build, where is that email at? That's not it. There it is. So you want to know how expensive is a half acre of land somewhere in Sandoval County within 20 miles of Albuquerque? And building costs, much less than, say, Indiana or Kentucky? No. I'd say building costs in Mexico are going to be higher than in Indiana or Kentucky. It's going to cost you a little more. Not crazy like it is here, but it's going to cost you a little bit more. Very comparable, but it's going to be a little bit more because homes are a little bit more expensive. And buying land, I don't know. You got to, the situation with New Mexico is similar to here in that Rio Rancho has quite a bit of land to fill itself in. It's got years and years and years of growth ahead of it, right? But vacant land, you have to be careful because some of that's not, you see it, it's like, oh, there's vacant land, but that's owned by the Pueblos. Here we call them tribes, right? There they call them Pueblos. But Native American land is surrounding that area. In fact, you're driving along on the interstate and then it's like you're in native territory and it's like, whoa. So then there's a different sort of cops, native cops, who are sitting on the side who can get you, and regular cops that are like in Albuquerque or wherever, they're not there. And then as soon as you leave the Pueblo land, guess what? Now Albuquerque police can get you, or Rio Rancho, or whatever. So that is, it's man, it's a unique place. It really, really is. It's a unique place. Um, so yeah, building land and you're 20 miles away, I don't know. I don't know what the cost of that would be. Definitely, I would say take a look. Take a look. You also have to have to understand too. New Mexico is not a very developed state when you start to leave pavement. Once you start going outside of pavement, you may not have utilities. I mean, it's different. Albuquerque, you don't have that problem because it can't get any bigger. Rio Rancho, on the other hand, has some area it can grow. There's areas where there's no power lines. It's just, you can see outlines of where streets are going to be. There ain't no power lines. There's no water. There's none of that. So be careful, because you could be in a situation where there's no utilities. You got tons of sun, so you can get your own power, but you got to pay for solar panels to do that. If there's no utility lines running to you, there's some of the Pueblo lands that don't even have running water and power in certain areas. So it's different. It's different. So a lot of people don't really do that because they want to have some sort of city services. Now, Rio Rancho is growing and growing and growing, but I wouldn't go too far out there because you may not have access to water and power if you go way too far out. That's one thing to think about. You're also in a desert. There's not a lot of water. I remember water being a big talk. It was a big conversation on radio and TV and blah, 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 blah. Because the Rio Grande, or Rio Grande, or however, people say it differently, it ain't got a lot of water, bro. You think, oh, it's got a lot of water. No. Sometimes you go down there, it's just a little trickle. Other times it'd be a little bit bigger. But that's it. That's it. There's no water. So given that, the city has to get water from other places and stuff like that, and all the details, I don't know. But once you start to go further and further out, it's not like you can just, like here, you can just dig down and find a well. Like, oh, there's water. It's hard there. It's a desert, right? It's truly a desert. You have other cities that are bigger fighting for water. So Phoenix, they're going to get water. Vegas. These are places, even though they're out to the west, everybody down in that area, southwest, Texas is over to the east, they're fighting for water. So given that all these other states have by far more money than New Mexico, it's a concern. It is a concern. So would I build a house there? Absolutely not. Unless it is a developer that's doing that and they have all this, because you ain't got to worry about it. I would not go out in the middle of nowhere and just start building a house. I wouldn't do that there, personally. I would go with a developer where you could pretty much say, well, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is what I want it to be a one-story. And they can do that. They can build it for you. Or you can find a house easily like I did. There's 4 or 5 that you can easily just find right there in Cabazon, which will solve a lot of your issues. Now, if you want to be away from people a little bit, you could do that. But again, you run into that situation. I would not do it. New Mexico is once you leave populous, you're on your own. Like, like it's the university there, University of New Mexico. Their mascot's the lobo. A lobo is a wolf. There's nature. I'm being honest. Like, yeah, I wouldn't go too far out, to be honest with you. On top of the fact you have scorpions and stuff that you mentioned, you got a lot of that out there. Nope. Rattlesnakes and crap and other stuff. No. Now, is it like you're going to come across that every day? Maybe not. But for me personally, I would move to a place like Cabazon, and there's probably others that people can tell you about, and I would live there, get a house, and you'd be good to go, personally. That's what I would do. Burglars, you're going to have that no matter where you go. I wouldn't let that deter you. So even if you move far out, you're still going to have people like, ooh, there's an opportunity because there's just this one little house and there's like 30 acres of land and there's nothing but just that one little house. So that doesn't mean anything. Having a hot fence, no, I wouldn't necessarily do that. I would say, focus on going to Cabazon. There's others, I'm sure. That's what I would do. So I hope I answered your question. Sorry for taking so long. I mean, because this is now a whole new month. We're now on, what is it, June 6th. So it's a month later. I apologize. Hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment. Until next time, I will see you. Take care.